The artificial glow of the helix spire's orbital lamps hummed softly through the viewport of Zara's nebula nook, a dingy yet beloved eatery wedged between cargo bays and repair docks on the fringe of the Andromeda Drift. The air was thick with the tang of iron-fried noodles and recycled oxygen, a scent that clung to the fur of traders, the exoskeletons of insectoids, and the leathery hides of reptilians alike. It was a place where the galaxy's weary converged, sharing stories under the ceaseless spin of stars that seemed to whisper secrets of forgotten worlds. But tonight, those whispers turned sharp, slicing through the fragile peace like a hull breach. In the shadowed corner booth, illuminated by the faint pulse of a holographic menu, huddled Lirra. She was a Vesperian, a dragon-like species from the storm-shrouded moons of Vesper Prime, her iridescent scales a mosaic of emerald and obsidian that shifted like oil on water when she moved. Or tried to. Lirra's form was compact, her wings vestigial nubs folded against her back, the result of a genetic anomaly called echo fracture, a condition that left her bones echoing with phantom pains, too brittle for flight or even prolonged standing. Her mobility exosuit, a whirring lattice of carbon fiber struts and neural dampeners scavenged from a derelict survey ship, hummed faintly as she adjusted its settings. It allowed her to navigate the station's labyrinthine corridors, but it couldn't shield her from the stares or the slurs. Lirra poked at her bowl of glow shrimp ramen, the bioluminescent strands flickering like tiny nebulae in the broth. She journeyed here from her clan's outpost, chasing a scholarship to the Interstellar Fabrication Academy. Engineering was her passion. She could coax life from dead circuits, dream up propulsion systems that bent spacetime just a little smoother. But in a cosmos that prized physical prowess, flight for Vesperians meant status, meant survival. Her mind felt like a hidden comet, brilliant but unseen. The disturbance began with low chuckles from the booth across the aisle. 3 Krelloks, hulking amphibians from the toxic swamps of Krell 9, their skins glistening with iridescent slime under the diner lights. Krelloks were built like living battering rams, with webbed claws and jaws that could unhinge to swallow prey whole. Their leader, a scarred brute named Gruk with bioluminescent tattoos pulsing angrily across his chest, eyed Lirra like she was an undercooked meal. "Oi, look at the grounded worm," he gurgled, his voice bubbling like swamp gas. His companions, a pair of lanky adolescents still growing their venom sacs, snickered, their bulbous eyes bulging with eager malice. Lirra kept her gaze down, her forked tongue flicking nervously. She'd endured this before, on fuel stops in academies in the echoing halls of her own homeworld. But here, in the anonymity of the spire, she hoped for respite. No such luck. One of the younger Krelloks, emboldened by Gruk's nod, slithered out of his seat and loomed over her table. "Why slither in here, cripple? This dock's for flyers, not crawlers. Go back to your mud pit." He snatched her chopsticks, flinging them across the room where they clattered against a bulkhead. The ramen sloshed, spilling onto her exosuit's control panel, shorting a servo with a sharp pop. The diner quieted. A cluster of avian solari at the counter ruffled their feathers uneasily, while a lone crystalline Antari merchant dimmed its facets in discomfort. Gruk rose, his mass displacing the air like a tidal wave, and lumbered forward. "Pathetic," he rumbled, extending a claw to shove Lirra's exosuit. The frame groaned, tilting her backward into the booth's padding. Her neural link frayed, sending jolts of feedback through her spine, echoes that amplified her fracture pains into white-hot agony. She gasped, claws scrabbling uselessly at the armrests, her wings twitching in futile protest. "Oops," Gruk mocked, his maw splitting in a jagged grin. "Even your tin shell can't save you now." Laughter erupted from his cronies, harsh and wet, drawing sidelong glances from other patrons who averted their eyes. A elderly Matari cook, her tentacles coiling tightly around a ladle, muttered a curse in her native tongue but stayed behind the counter. Security drones were offline for maintenance, standard on a backwater station like this, and no one wanted to tangle with Krelloks, whose clans controlled half the black market stim trade. Lirra's vision blurred, not from pain but from the sting of isolation. She whispered a Vesperian lament, an ancient chant to the void winds that once carried her ancestors across stellar seas. How many times had she fixed others' ships, mended their dreams of the stars, only to be grounded by fear? The Krelloks escalated, now taunting the cook for serving scraps to scraps, their voices rising like a storm front. Minutes stretched into an eternity of barbs, each one chipping at Lirra's resolve. She gathered the spilled noodles with trembling claws, ignoring the slime of broth mixing with her scales, but inside, a fracture deeper than bone widened. An hour ticked by in the diner's chronometer, the Krelloks' bravado swelling until they overturned a table in mock challenge. Then, the deck trembled. Not the usual thrum of docking clamps, but a deep, resonant quake that rattled utensils and set the ramen broth quivering in hypnotic waves. Patrons froze. The cook peered out the viewport, her eyes widening to saucer size. By the abyss, it's them. Approaching the spire's outer ring were vessels that defied the sleek aesthetics of most galactic craft. Hulking behemoths of welded plates, exhaust vents belching plasma in erratic bursts, hulls etched with runes of repair and defiance. The Void Welders, a human enclave from the Sol fringe, masters of the improbable fix. They were legends, salvagers who turned derelicts into legends, who laughed at entropy and spat in the face of obsolescence. Their fleet, a ragtag armada of 15 haulers, clamped onto the station with a symphony of grinding metal that echoed like the roar of ancient earth beasts. The diner's airlock cycled with a pneumatic wheeze, and instrode the welders. Leading was Jax Harlan, a towering figure in grease-stained overalls reinforced with salvaged armor plating. His left arm a cybernetic marvel of whirring gears and glowing conduits, lost in a reactor meltdown on Titan's rings. His face, weathered like asteroid pumice, cracked into a perpetual half-smile under a mop of salt and pepper hair. Flanking him were Kira Voss, her ocular implants scanning the room with predatory efficiency, her legs augmented for zero-G sprints. Toro Ramirez, broad as a bulkhead, whose bioluminescent tattoos from a symbiotic implant lit up when he laughed. And Lena Spark Thorne, the youngest, her fingers tipped with plasma torches that could carve or cauterize in equal measure. They numbered 12, their presence filling the space like a sudden gravity well, the scent of arc welds and hydraulic fluid cutting through the noodle steam. The Krelloks shrank, their slime-slick hides paling. Gruck puffed his chest, but his eyes darted like minnows. Jax's gaze locked on Lirra instantly. Years of reading wreckage had honed his instinct for the overlooked disaster. He crossed the deck in 3 strides, his boots magnetizing with each step, and crouched beside her booth. The exosuit's damage was evident, sparking relays, a bent strut. "Evening, ma'am," he said, his voice a gravelly drawl from the dusty plains of old Mars colonies. The formality caught Lirra off guard. No one called her ma'am without pity tainting the word. She blinked, her slit pupils dilating. "It's nothing, just a glitch." Jax chuckled, low and warm. "Glitch my aft. That's Vesperian-grade engineering you're rocking there. Mind if I take a peek?" Without waiting, he extended his cyberarm, its fingers unfolding into diagnostic probes that interfaced seamlessly with her suit. The Krelloks muttered, inching toward the exit, but Kira blocked their path with a casual lean, her implants whirring as they analyzed threat vectors. As Jax worked, the other welders fanned out, ordering platters of ramen and synth burgers, their banter filling the diner with life. Toro spotted Lirra's modifications, a custom dampener she jury-rigged from spare parts, and whistled. "That's no stock model. You reroute the echo feedback through harmonic resonators. Damn, that's elegant. Could revolutionize suit tech for high-rad environments." Lirra's scales flushed a brighter emerald, the first spark of wonder piercing her hurt. It was just to quiet the pains. Make the echoes sing instead of scream. "Sing?" Lena leaned in, eyes alight. "Show me the code. I've been wrestling a warp coil that harmonizes like a drunk opera singer. They dove into discussion, Lirra's hesitance melting as questions flowed, not about her wings but her ingenuity. Jax repaired the suit in minutes, upgrading it with a microfusion cell from his toolkit. There, smoother than a neutrino stream, on the house. The Krelloks bolted then, but not before Toro's massive hand clamped Gruck's shoulder, nearly cracking the amphibian's carapace. "Heard you like breaking things," Toro rumbled, his tattoos flaring blue. "We fix 'em, permanently." Gruck burbled an apology, words tumbling like mud before they fled into the corridors. Lirra's new bowl arrived, steaming and untouched, courtesy of Jax's credit chit. As she ate, the welders pulled up chairs, sharing tales of quantum anomalies and ghost ships that whispered coordinates to lost worlds. "We ain't just mechanics," Jax explained, sipping a bulb of fermented root ale. "We're stitchers of the cosmos, pull together what's frayed, and you Lirra got the eye for it." She traced a claw over her repaired suit, feeling the hum of potential. "But I'm, not like you, grounded." Jax grinned. "Grounded, kid, the stars aren't for flying, they're for dreaming, and dreaming don't need wings." He slid a data chip across the table. "Guild invite. We're heading to the Echo Veil next, nebula full of derelict forges. Need a mind like yours to unlock their secrets." Wonder bloomed in Lirra's chest, expansive as the drift itself. For the first time, the stars outside didn't mock her. They beckoned, promising designs undreamt. The diner, once a pit of cruelty, thrummed with laughter, ideas sparking like welders' arcs. Word spread through the spire's comms nets, drawing outcasts. A limbless telepath from Epsilon Eridani, a scarred cyborg from the Core Wars. By dawn, Zara's was a hub of invention, Lirra at its heart, her exosuit now adorned with welder insignias, flame-etched scales that glowed with shared stories. In the cycles that followed, Lirra's designs reshaped the guild. Suits that turned fractures into symphonies of strength, ships that navigated by emotional resonances, bridging minds across voids. The Krelloks. Whispers said they slunk to forgotten fringes, haunted by eyes that saw their breaks, not their bulk. And in the Nebula Nook, a new tradition. Every newcomer gets a bowl on the house, and a story of the grounded dragon who taught the stars to sing. For in the infinite weave of space, where wonders hide in the broken, compassion isn't just kind. It's the ultimate engineering, forging families from the void's cold forge. Lirra learned that night, as the fleet undocked under auroral skies, that true flight begins not in wings, but in the hands that lift you toward the light.